Welcome to The Explainer. We spend a huge chunk of our lives at work, right? So today, we're going to dig into the big ideas, the theories that secretly run the show. I'm talking about the stuff that shapes everything from your paycheck to your next team meeting.
So, you ever stop and wonder why your boss does what they do? Well, you might be surprised to learn that the answer could be rooted in ideas from, 100 years ago. Seriously. Their whole management style, what they expect from you, how they try to get you motivated, a lot of that can be traced right back to a handful of core theories about what makes us tick. So yeah, let's dive in. All right, our story starts way back in the early 1900s, and it starts with a guy named Frederick Taylor who had this pretty interesting view of the workplace. He basically saw it as one giant machine that just needed a little bit of fine-tuning.
For Taylor, it was all about one thing, and one thing only: efficiency. He was convinced that for any given job, there was one single, perfect, best way to do it. And his formula was super straightforward. First, find the absolute best person for the task. Second, teach them that one perfect method. And third, motivate them by paying them more money for doing more work. That's the whole shebang.
And this whole approach got a name: Taylorism. And really, it treated people like cogs in a giant industrial machine. The central belief, the absolute core of it, was that money, and only money, is what gets people to work harder. It's an efficient model, for sure, but as you can probably guess, it's not a very human way of looking at things.
Okay, so that raises a big question, right? What if we're not just cogs in a machine who are only motivated by a paycheck? Well, fast forward a few decades, and a social psychologist named Douglas McGregor comes along and completely challenges that idea. He basically said that every single manager out there works from one of two totally opposite beliefs about what actually drives their team.
He gave them these simple labels: Theory X and Theory Y. The easiest way to think about it is like two ends of a spectrum, completely opposite views on why people work. And here's the kicker. McGregor believed that pretty much every manager, whether they realize it or not, leans one way or the other. And you can see just how different they are right here. A Theory X manager, they basically assume people are inherently lazy, hate work, and will do anything to avoid responsibility. So you have to control them. Use the classic carrot and stick approach. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's basically Taylorism 2.0. But then you have the Theory Y manager. They believe the complete opposite, that work is natural, that people are creative, and that they actually want to take on responsibility. It's a totally different world. And this is so important. The main takeaway there is huge. A manager's fundamental belief system literally shapes the entire work environment. A Theory X boss creates a culture built on control and, let's be honest, suspicion. But a Theory Y boss, they build a culture of trust, autonomy, and genuine empowerment. So, this whole shift in thinking from X to Y opens up a gigantic question. If it's not just about money and being told what to do, then what is it? What really, truly drives us at work? And this question kicked off a whole new search for answers. One of the most famous answers came from the psychologist Abraham Maslow. You've probably heard of his hierarchy of needs. His idea was that our motivations come in layers, like a pyramid. Once our most basic needs are covered, food, shelter, feeling safe, they kind of stop being motivators. And that's when we start looking for more. Things like a sense of belonging or getting recognition, all the way up to the very top, which he called self-actualization. Basically becoming the best version of ourselves we can be. Okay, so following that train of thought, a couple of researchers, Hackman and Oldham, took it even one step further. They said, hey, motivation isn't just something inside your head, it's actually built into the DNA of the job itself. The way your daily work is structured can either make you feel totally energized, or it can just suck the life right out of you. And they nailed it down to 5 specific things. 5 key elements of a job that are basically proven to make people more satisfied and perform better. Let's run through them real quick.
All right, so the first 3 are all about making the work feel meaningful. First up is skill variety. Does your job let you use a bunch of different talents, or are you just doing the same thing all day? Then there's task identity. Can you see a clear beginning and end to your work? And finally, task significance. This one is a big one. Does your work actually matter?
And that brings us to the last 2, which are absolutely crucial. You've got autonomy. That's your freedom. Do you have the power to decide how you do your work? That's what gives you that feeling of real responsibility. And then there's feedback. This one's simple but powerful. Do you get clear information on how you're doing? It's how you know whether all your hard work is actually paying off. So you see, when you connect all these dots, you can literally trace the evolution of how we think about management.
We go from Taylor thinking of us as cogs in a wheel, to McGregor saying people can be trusted, all the way to Hackman and Oldham showing us that the design of the job itself is key. It's a pretty amazing journey.
What we're really looking at is a journey. We started with this super simple, almost robotic view of work where it's all about the paycheck, and we've moved to something so much more complex, so much more human. It's this huge shift from just controlling people to helping them find meaning in what they do.
And this whole evolution, from control to empowerment, has literally shaped the workplace you're in right now. So, I'll leave you with a question to think about. Take a look around your own job. Where does it fall on this spectrum? Do you see bits and pieces of Taylorism still hanging around? Is your manager more of a Theory X type, or are they a Theory Y champion? Because the answer, well, it tells you an awful lot about the place you work.